Welcome to Inside the Barrel, where John and I are going to talk about cool things to do in ServiceNow and being a consultant in this space. We're lucky. I'm lucky enough to be streaming from one of Cask's office, so maybe we'll even get a guest appearance walking by me. But yeah, so today's episode, we're going to talk about batch installing. This one's near and dear to my heart because there's so many times you're in a go live or you're about to do a new implementation and you have to install like 10 apps and you have to like sit there and wait to install every single one until the next one's done, and then the next one's done, and then the next one's done. And they've improved it in Rome because now you can schedule those installs. So you can kind of schedule them back to back through the UI. But today we're going to get into some code and show you how you can batch install multiple apps at the same time. So
awesome. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, this one it shouldn't take us too long because it is a decently. I've done it before, so we could hopefully learn from some of that work.
Perfect.
Yeah. So we're gonna have John drive us.
All right. Let's see.
We're gonna have me try to navigate all of our shares.
That's you gotta. Oh. Okay. Oh, good. I wasn't sure what I was sharing.
No. Well, we're good.
This new way of doing stuff is different for me.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, let's kind of start with the documentation. So where do you start if you wanted to batch install? So there's ServiceNow has been building a REST API and even a flow designer spoke for you to essentially help you batch install. And so this is the documentation that John has up about the spoke. And if we kind of just scroll down a little bit, what's nice about this is let's see what all of the types of things you could do with it. So you could do a batch install, which is what we're going to show. You can get the batch results. So what's the progress? Let's say you wanted to roll back all the apps that you just installed. So like something went wrong, you can roll back. What's also nice about the CI/CD spoke, you can do things like start ATFs or instance scans. So like imagine automating not only just installing, let's say, a custom scoped app or a stall app, but you could install the thing, make it run an ATF, and then like roll back if it broke something in your system. So this kind of opens the door of some sort of like automated pipeline using this spoke. But let's dive into what that batch install one is. So I think on a different tab you got, so this is the documentation that you'll probably want to review before using batch install to kind of walk through it. But essentially allows you to install multiple applications together so that you don't have to sit there and manually install. And they kind of describe the two methods on the bottom is either using Flow Designer, which is very easy to set up, or using the REST API. So let's click on the REST API one just to kind of show people, since we're going to be using a little bit of both. We're going to be using the spoke, but we're going to use some code to call it not Flow Designer. So let's just kind of go down to the get call. So there's on the right hand side, I'm just kind of looking at your this headers is like you have the results call, and then you have a progress call to kind of see it. And like let's click on one of those example curl messages just to kind of, I guess any one of them really. Yeah, and so essentially what it's doing in this case is, trying to get the test results. But the idea is, you send some sort of payload and ServiceNow is going to give you a response back. So here's all the docs that you can kind of walk through. We're going to simplify it a little bit for you since we'll have some example code. and we'll put this on a GitHub somewhere so that you could also utilize that example code. So the first thing we want to do is find out which apps to install. So good examples that come to mind are something like either customer service management, because you have to install customer service, maybe the action status, maybe a portal, etc. So, or in households and contributor user, right? There's a bunch of CSM related applications. GRC is another example that comes to mind where you want to install because they've broken them out into multiple apps. So those are like the ServiceNow based ones. There's also, you can install store apps. So like Tenable is a good one, because normally you install the connector for Tenable, you install assets for Tenable, you install VR and ITSM. So we'll use Tenable as our example here. So if you scroll down to the bottom, so the four that we're going to install are the Tenable for Assets, Tenable Connector, Tenable for ITSM, and Tenable for VR. So imagine you were asked to go and implement these. So if you click on one of them, the thing that's important is that sysid up top in the URL. So it has like So for all four of those, I think John has an example of those already recorded, but just for your, like, if you were going to do this, make sure you copy that sysid and then the version number. So that 4.0.1. So let's make sure that we have those saved. So 4.0.1 on the, what are we on, the asset one?
The asset, yeah, asset one.
Okay, I'm saving some code for you in the background.
Did you want that sysid just?
And that's for asset. So for the asset one, it should be, it starts 9E and ends in 80.
Yep.
Cool. So we already got that. So then, so we got that version. Let's collect the other versions.
So the Tenable connector starts with A8 and ends with E4.
Connector, yep.
And version is 4.0.1.
Oh, so connector is also 4.0.1. Cool.
All right, Tenable for ITSM is 1.4 and ends with E8.
So sorry, you said ITSM is 4.
Starts with 1.4 and ends with E8.
Oh. 1.4 and ends in E8. Yep.
And then version is 4.0.0.
Yep.
All right. And then the vulnerability response starts with CC, ends with 8D.
Yes, correct.
And version is 4.0.1.
Cool. Awesome. I just edited that for you on our little code snippet. All right. So now that we have those versions, it's actually funny. I don't think Tenable supports Roam yet, so we're going to see how this is going to work.
It's always the fun.
Yeah.
Thing. Oh, hey, another shout. I don't remember the last time if we shouted this out, but man, SNU Tills and their fix for the background script, where it now works much more like a IDE. Oh, thank you, Arnoud. That's awesome.
Yeah, that is a way better experience.
Oh, my goodness, so, yes.
Yeah.
All right, so did you send me Easy Bake version of the new
code?
So
the Easy Bake is in the oven. The first thing we're going to have to do, though, is create a credential for your account. So go to credentials and aliases.
Hey, I think I just did this I was going through a, what did you say? A credential and what?
And aliases, yeah, that one.
I think I just did this. I was going through the UI builder thing, and I think I had to create one for something.
So we're going to click New, and we're going to select Credential on the right-hand side of the type.
Oh, you know what? I probably need to be in a different.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
There we go.
And then
Okay.
the connection type, yep. Or sorry,
Just credential.
yeah, perfect. Yep. And then we could just name this like admin, or you know, it's going to be a credential admin of your instance that has access to install the apps. And what's nice is the API actually allows you to remotely install on another instance as long as the credential is there, right? So imagine you had a bunch of developer instances or subprods. You could go and from one instance, go and call and install on all of them. So you don't actually have to be on the instance to run the script. So yeah, click submit. And then click on admin install credential. And then click a new credential. Basic auth in our case. And then name it admin. And then for the username, whatever, I think it's admin, unless you have a personal one. And then do you know the password for your instance?
No, give me just a second though.
Yeah, I hid it so you could go and find it.
Let's see. Manage instance password. All right. Now,
are we back?
We are back.
Cool. Perfect. Cool. So click submit. And so now let's copy the sysid of the connection and credential. So not the one you just created. Yeah, that guy. Let's copy that sysid. Beautiful. And then in that code that I slacked you, you're going to replace that on like line 6. And then the code should be good.
Did you send me a new?
I edited that one. So just
oh, you did. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Like normal, we have an awesome easy bake oven that helps us get this stuff done faster. So we'll paste it all in there. What line did you say to put it in? This one?
Yeah, that line. Yep, that's the sysid of your credential.
Grab that again. There we go.
Beautiful. So I zoomed in for the audience, and let's kind of walk through this code. So kind of the way we have this set up is in order to use the install batch API, which is on line 18, it requires a batch plan, an alias, and a URL. So on line 6 is our alias, and I just wrote a little function that will go in and get the alias. My lovely 12 through 16 is just a glide record with foo. But just a very simple, it requires the actual glide record. So alias is going to be passed in on line 6. So that's what that was for. The instance URL should be very easy because we can just get the instance URL of the one we're working in, but you could hard code that to be a, HTTPS and whatever you want it to be. And then the batch plan, which we'll talk about, we're passing in 4 different versions. And so those versions are above. So that's what John was looking at earlier. And so let's scroll down to the install plan Tenable apps, and we'll come back to that function at the end. So for install plan, so what this needs to return is a JSON object. So that's what the install plan JSON takes in. And so here, essentially, I'm just instantiating a bunch of blank JSONs. And then from there, the meat of this is for each of the apps that you want to install, you need to essentially build an array of build an object of those parameters. So in our case, like the connector version, that was the sysid of ID. What type of it is an application? Do you want to install demo data or not? And then, what version you want to install. So that's pretty much the same for all of them. So essentially, if you keep scrolling down, those are all look the same. The other thing I did want to note is you could pass in notes, and you could also install a customized version. And what a customized version is like, let's say you have source control tied on Tenable, so that all of your customizations are in your source control and also versioned differently. You can install not only the Tenable app as the base, but also what customized version you have in your internal repository.
Okay.
Something to keep in mind, that's also a new feature of Roam, is essentially the idea of you could take any app, whether it's a ServiceNow app or a store app, and use Studio for it. And maybe we should have a little video on that, and tie it to source control. So any of your customizations or configurations specific to your instance can be tied in source control and then versioned appropriately. So
we love series. We like doing multiple episodes.
yeah, so maybe we'll do that one. Do that one next. So yeah, so this is an example of what it does. We're essentially building a payload, and then we return that payload once we have configured it all correctly.
And going back to what you said about you weren't sure that it was or Tenable was set up for Roam. What I was just seeing, how you said, you're putting the version in there, and it allows you to install different versions, which over here you can find other app versions. So, in case you need to install a lower version number or a different version, I believe that's how you would do it, right? You choose you find what the other version numbers are.
Yep.
And then just switch it over there, and that would install that version specifically.
Yeah, and exactly. So good call out. So I think then what is the install batch? So this function is actually directly taken from the code snippet in Flow Designer. So if you ever go to any action, this one was the install batch action, and you load it and you click the three little dots in Flow Designer and then copy code snippet. This is an example of what it outputs. So I didn't write any of this part of the code. The only thing I wrote here is I return outputs. And the reason for that is because I want to print that data. But if you wanted to run this, and this is running synchronously, if you wanted to run this asynchronously, they even give you the code above it. So you would essentially copy out the synchronous code and uncomment out line 27. But in order to get outputs, it needs to run synchronously. We need a response. So that's why we're using that one. So yeah, very simple. What this is going to return is a status if it was a 200. So did we have the right access? And then it's going to provide any error message, and it's going to provide a progress URL, so we can even check the progress of how it's how it's going, and what % complete that it's going to be. Provides a rollback ID in case we ever needed to roll it back. So I think we're ready to test on Roam whether or not Tenable Quebec apps will work. So
I have my fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Here we go.
If we just get a 200, I'll be happy.
Did that click? I swear it did. No.
Yeah,
oh, you know what? I probably actually need to call something, don't I?
Nope,
no, there you go.
Nope.
Sweet, look at that.
So we got some status. So it installed a few things and hit some triggers. And so if you scroll down to our script that I outputted, so sorry, I didn't do a better JSON stringify. We didn't get an error.
No error. Okay, good.
% complete is 0 because it just started and it's pending. And then we have that progress URL. So let's copy that progress URL. And then open a new tab.
Now let's do this real quick before I do that. Well, I guess I could. Yeah, all right, that'll work. Hang on. They've made me lazy about how you get into your new tabs because I usually just do it from the other screen. All right, so
it failed. That's okay.
Unable to successfully install batch.
Invalid or empty installation plan. Maybe it's because you clicked it twice.
Oh, maybe.
That's okay. So let's go. So that's okay. So on the left-hand side, we could see progress of things. So if you type in batch install in the filter navigator. Yeah. I wonder.
You said batch?
Yeah. And under batch, it should. Yep, batch install upgrade history. So you've installed other things, batch installed. That's cool. Or at least ServiceNow is doing it. But yeah, so it should show up here. So it didn't. So something didn't go as planned.
So should I go back and then run it one more time, or is that going to be problematic?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, let's try running it again and see.
Okay, this time I will only click it once. Hands up. Hands are up. There we go.
So then let's scroll to the right a little bit. Okay, that's.
Oh, here we are. Progress URL.
I should have made our print a little bit better. I'm sorry. Failed. Unable. Invalid or empty installation plan provided. Nothing to install. All right. So maybe something's wrong with our code.
So it's saying it's not liking the installation plan.
Which is that? So then all of those sysids are right in those versions. I wonder if it's because those versions don't exist on Rome that we're not able to install it. So we'll try to simplify this. Let's go to the App Store in like a tab, a new not in yeah, we could do it from here or we could do it from the instance.
Oh, you
mean type yeah, plugins, and we'll do this on the fly. We'll install some customer service ones together. So plugins. You gotta love when easy bake oven code doesn't work.
Well, but it's not necessarily our fault.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
we're too cutting edge. That's our problem.
I forgot you were on Rome, so it's like, oh crap! I don't know if it's gonna let us install it.
And I don't even know. I'm trying to think. I don't even think my other PDI is. I think it's Rome too, because I've had a recent project of mine was trying to get an old portal up to snuff on Rome that hadn't been upgraded. Well, so during the upgrades from whatever was in play in 2018 to now, they've kept rolling back certain components to keep it working. And so we had to come in and upgrade all that to get it working. And so I needed Rome to compare things with.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was
all right.
Pretty brutal.
So let's so we're gonna install action status automation just because.
Oh,
so let's click on
right here.
that. Yeah. Well, let's click on we need to click on it, yeah, to get the sysid. So give that a second.
This is super fast. And I love that it tells me how super fast it is.
I know. I don't know they don't like lazy load that or something. So I think you can right click on this to get the sysid of this.
This
Yeah.
one?
So save that somewhere, and then let's go back and get
Oh no,
another
that is not. What is that? SysID, because that's not what I got. Ooh, I'm not getting a SysID. I'm getting com.sn_action_status.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is what I'm getting, right?
Yeah, that's what you get. Oh, that should have been able to get us a SysID. I wonder if we could go to.
Yeah, see, look at that.
Oh,
you don't see it.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was looking at the
okay.
I was looking at the XML of it, and it does show that com.sn action status as the SysID.
That must be a really old thing that we stumbled on. Yeah. All right. So we need to get the SysID from that application. Is there a? I'm trying to think of the easiest way to get that on the fly. So I think if we go to plug in like all available plugins on the left-hand side and not through this, we should be able to find it. Because there is like a different table. Type in
what's
like all available or something like that. Or like store. Yeah, all available to obtain from store.
But does it run faster?
I think it
No, probably not, because I'm stuck in this guy first.
Oh yeah, cancel this one. Yeah, and then click that. We'll just install like 2 store apps. And all right, let's type in customer service. And is there any customer service one? Oh, let's type in ServiceNow products, because these are all the on the left-hand navigator. Go to ServiceNow products. And let's see if we could find customer service. It should be on the bottom. Control find customer service? Is it not on one of these? Really? It's a product. Is it not? Maybe it's not in alphabetical order. Wow. All right. So let's go to ITSM. Oh my gosh. I'm like in shock that it's not on here. So
all right.
Let's go with the ServiceNow for Microsoft Teams. We'll just install these 4. So let's see if we can get the, like if you click on that, will we get the SysID? Is it just going to open like a window to the store? Because up top, it has a SysID in this URL.
Does it though?
I do
maybe
see it
right there on application.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily have an actual, like I don't see how I'm gonna get that from here.
We'll just take it from the URL.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to cheat.
So it'll be 1.4 and something.
This is how I cheat.
Oh yeah, I just know it. That's so funny.
Well, sure, that's all fine and dandy.
No, this is good. I like this better.
But this, just to make sure I'm not getting. But what I don't hate, I used this the other day, and it's their copy paste out of here is annoying. So hang on, I gotta go paste it somewhere else now.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Can't win.
I know, seriously.
That's so funny.
Okay, now I have the.
So take that store app and put it in. We're gonna take we need the app and the version. So you save those 2 things.
Let's see. Where were we? We're over here. the version is 2.2.
It was also in that URL.
Right. We look at it. Let me see. Sure. Oh my gosh, trying to get in and out of stuff. Oh, it is there. Yep, I see.
Cool.
Very nice.
All right,
Okay,
so let's go into
I
one
have
more
both.
app. So one more app on that list. It can be in the ServiceNow for Microsoft Teams. So it's fine. Let's do Notify Connector. And then take that URL, decode it. And then copy that version and ID. Good to know that you can't install via the API apps that aren't compatible with your instance.
Well, yeah, it's probably. I mean, it's good to have that stop there, because that would really. I mean, that could seriously cause you some problems.
Okay, so we're trying to install 4 apps. So just remove 2 of them essentially. So just choose 2. Like, we don't even have to change the names of stuff, but instead of those 4, choose just select 2 that you're going to use. So
right,
asset version and VR version.
Yeah.
And then you'll also need to change yeah. And then change line 5. Yeah.
Well,
Beautiful.
so this is my thing that I end up doing, because I just can't. I can't just delete stuff. I have problems.
Can't delete code. All good.
What if I have to come back and get it?
All right, and then let's scroll down.
So that should be the same.
Everything else should be the same except our function. We need to change a bit. So we
this one down here.
Yeah, so we say.
So really, we need to, or I have to, because I'm bound by my own idiosyncrasies. I can't break out of them.
And are we sure those are the 2 that we saved? I'm just going crazy here.
VR version. See, good thing I didn't delete it.
Cool. And so then just delete you can leave those things because we're not, like, that's totally fine. Just delete the section of the code. So we should only keep the asset one and the VR version. So yeah, I can delete connector. Asset 1 we keep and the VR 1 we keep.
Now we don't have any changes there. Okay.
And so
that's all we need.
So now we just got to make sure the the asset version sysid.
Oh.
So the sysid of the asset version, or sorry, of the 2 dot, whichever version needs to match on that one. Yeah. So where it says IDs, we need to change.
I got you. Okay. Asset was first, so that should be this one.
All right. Now
ready?
Run that. Let's do it.
Boom. Hands off. Running once. There we go.
All right. Let's see what this one says. Hopefully, watch it say the same thing. Hey, we're good now.
So we should. Cool. You said we should be able to.
Yeah, so you'll be able to see that.
Look at that. Type in batch over here and install.
And just give it a second to show up, but it will show up here.
Okay. And can we keep pounding on this guy to see?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, well, no, that one's the old one.
No, that's the same one.
Is it? EC7? EC7. Oh, interesting. Invalid or empty install plan provided. Something is wrong with my code. That's not great. not understand?
Well, so this one is, I don't know. Are you given
I
different?
feel like I ran this like yesterday, but maybe I changed code since then. It's saying that the install plan, and we're returning the payload JSON stringified, and we're saving that batch plan, and then we're passing it. Interesting. What is this one for? Oh, you tried a different
This
URL.
one should be the first one we grabbed. So
It's
number
2.2.0, the right,
2.0.
and it matches that sysid.
2.0 14E. Yeah.
It says application unavailable for installation on this instance. So maybe we chose another one that we couldn't install on the instance.
Well, yeah,
but this is more information.
I feel like if I go back and actually click on install, it'll work.
Yeah, that's true. Wow, I really like. Well, I think we're good on this one. Although we weren't successful, I think the gist of it is there. I think. So I think
how hard would it be to run through a flow one?
So the flow one isn't like we're getting the same result back, right? We're running through a flow, right? Like you see the sys trigger and the flow context, it's being created.
Okay.
We're essentially just mimicking what flow would do.
Okay.
I think the struggle is like trying to find an app after our Tenable one didn't work was rough. I totally forgot that we're not on Roam.
Oh man.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think that's good though. I think we'll post that snippet so people can use. I think the hardest thing that I struggled with was creating that batch plan. Like, what did that batch plan look like? And so that will help people get to that point. And then making sure that we're able to install the app on whatever instance it is.
So maybe pro tip right now is make sure you're on Quebec.
Make sure you're on Quebec. Yeah. Or make sure you're like licensed for it, because maybe we just took apps that we couldn't actually install on your dev instance.
So true. Yeah, and that could be a lot of it too, because it's a PDI, they may not be allowed.
So let's actually show the ones that you did have installed. You did have the HR ones installed. So let's go to that batch just to give people an idea. Yeah. So let's click on the top one. So it looks like ServiceNow is actually, I'm assuming you installed some HR thing here. And
I did install HR. It was because I was after some stuff on onboarding and transitions.
So yeah, pretty much, this is the same experience you would see, right? It would be the name of R, so the install Tenable apps, right? If it was here, and then you would just get a bunch of skip logs and changes applied. So just as if you were installing any app, but this would have combined all of them into one. And we could probably see this if you scroll to the right on changes applied. And then in the upgrade details, if we scroll to the right, there should be different plugins. So let's go to the cog to add, and it should be, oh, it is plugin. Yeah, so it's already moved plugin up a little bit. Yeah. So normally you would only have one plugin per install, right? And so this is showing that like it's installing based on a bunch of different plugins. So
it probably runs its own batch because it's going to have multiple components of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And if I remember correctly, when I installed this, I was, it had a lot of requirements to get to have it. So you have a lot of stuff that goes along with it anyways that you would need.
Yeah, and my guess is ServiceNow's been using it for a while, but I think they finally just like exposed it a couple
Yeah,
releases ago to because
yeah.
it's not even a friendly one, right? Like it's not like you can select 4 apps and click install, right? And like it will batch
Or
install.
add to batch.
Yeah, add to
See,
batch or
that
something.
would be handy if you could just go to the store and say, add to batch, and then
Yeah,
do
and
it,
then it
or have a
installs it,
button to
and then
do it.
schedule it,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, scheduling, man, how nice would that be?
If there was an add to batch and then scheduling, I think that would, I mean, that's what we're trying to solve, right? Is, create a scheduled job for this, right? And
Ooh.
run it at a certain time. And then here's the batch plan. So like your go live is like, it'll start running when you're ready for it. But that's the dream to make it easier. But so yeah, we'll post this code, and you'll be able to use it. Just find the apps that work for you, and it should be relatively easy. And if you have any questions, just kind of let us know. Um,
And maybe we think about revisiting this one down the road,
sure.
um,
Yeah.
with other
Yeah.
information if we come up with
Yeah,
it.
I
Yeah.
think the tough part is like, let's say you batch install something, then you have to like go back and zboot your instance or reset your dev instance and then do it again for on stream, right? So it's one of those that
Yeah.
like we could get it working and then show them the results.
Sure.
So
Sure. Yeah. No, this
cool.
was fun. I actually enjoy. Like I don't do a lot of this because I just use the plugins to install, because I'm usually after ones or twosies to do. But
Yeah.
I can see how this really would be helpful, especially for the platform side where they need to get stuff installed, and they don't want to, because you go through and you mark the plugins and you're sitting there looking at your watch, watching that thing go, and you're like, oh my gosh, I probably shouldn't have selected install data, demo data, because that's going to take forever now.
I think the also nice part is you're not stuck in waiting. So normally
Yeah,
when you click the install, it takes a
exactly.
thread, right? And you're blocked from doing
Yep.
anything. This runs in the background. So like in theory, you could still explore. Your instance will probably be a little slow, but
Sure.
you could still, navigate around.
Yeah. And that is really, a big thing, because you start the install and you're like, well, okay, I'm going to go do something else now because I'm stuck here. But if you do it, with this script, it is nice because then you can continue on with other work that you may need to get done. And, pro tip as a consultant, you need, you have so much work you got to get done. You can't just get stopped by a process and be like, well, I'm out.
Yeah, totally. Cool. All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll do probably a different one on source control next, and maybe we'll come back to the batch installing apps. Maybe we'll get that really ready right before, and then do the source control after.
We'll let it bake a little longer.
Yeah. So cool. All right. Well, thanks again.
We'll see you guys.